Life is filled with many great treasures here. In today's episode, we'll be interviewing a lovely treasurer, Cameron.
A treasurer.
A treasurer, Cameron Ruggiero. Hi, my name is Jason, president of the Players of the Pear Garden.
I'm Julian, historian of the Pear Garden.
And I'm Cameron, treasurer of the Players of the Pear Garden.
And we are the podcast of the Pear Garden.
Hi, and welcome back to our interview with our treasurer, Cameron. Hi, Cameron.
Hi, Julian. Hello, Jason. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast today.
Of course. Thank you for coming along. Well, how are you today?
I am doing pretty good. It is a fine Friday that we are recording this on.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know what else is happening on Friday?
Friday. I'm in love.
We're in love. Cameron, again, appreciate you taking the time today. Well, first and foremost, just, who are you? Year, major, everything.
I am a senior here at Cal State San Bernardino. I will be graduating in, 8 weeks. I am a theater major with a concentration in acting. I have acted. I have performed on stage for singing and acting. I have stage managed. I have been a cheerleader. I have done a whole bunch of performance work just in those fields alone. To be a bit more personal, I'm a comic book nerd. I'm a video game nerd. Been playing video games since I was 3. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I'm mega nerd. That's why you're a treasurer.
Yes.
You're the treasurer.
Yes.
A daunting task from what I've heard from the past. So what exactly do you do as a treasurer?
Well, as treasurer, I keep track of our money. I make sure that we set up fundraising events, and I make sure that all of the money that we collect stays in our account until we decide to spend it for certain events, such as our yearly banquet or just getting supplies for events that we host for the PPG general body or for purchasing concessions in order to sell them, et cetera, et cetera.
So you would say you protect our treasure? Callback.
Thank you, callback.
Yes, I protect our treasure. Yes.
Let's deep dive into your upbringing, where you came from. I hear you from this exotic land, millions of miles away, where trees are Joshua's and the desert's dry. What is this place? Where did you come from?
Where the trees are named Josh, believe it or not, I am from a small town called Joshua Tree.
What was that like? Yeah.
Well, just to talk a little bit about the town, it's a very small town. It's gotten very popular in recent years because of the Joshua Tree National Park. It is a place that is very familiar with movie sets because it is near Pioneer Town, which was an old movie set before it got turned into a bit of a tourist place. And the national park has also been used to be filmed in. The movie Palm Springs, starring Andy Samberg, actually has a lot of filming done in Joshua Tree National Park, funny enough. So yeah, I just grew up there out in the desert, was there my whole life. And I never had to move or anything like that, so it's my desert, my Minecraft biome.
And so, was there a lot of theater opportunities and performance activities that led you to where you are now?
Yeah, there was some performance opportunity growing up in school. I first joined band in 4th grade to my sister's chagrin because she wanted to keep playing the trumpet, which is the first instrument that my house had. And then I took it for 4th grade. And then in 5th grade, I decided to join choir. And then in middle school, it became more consistent. And I've still been in choir to this day. I'm still in the Chamber Singers choir here at CSUSB. And because of that, I've been able to perform at Walt Disney Concert Hall, which is a really cool thing that I've gotten to do. Consistently started doing choir in 7th and 8th grade. Then in high school, I joined part of the select choir, which because of that, I got a fundraiser we did my freshman year was we raised $65,000 to spend at spring break in D.C. Did a lot of cool events. We collabed with a local artist named Gene Avaro Jr. We also did a radio-a-thon with Z1077. And so it was just a really cool, big event that I got to do my freshman year. And then my junior year, I started taking acting classes, but then COVID hit. Mm-hmm. So I jokingly say that my first experience of acting in front of a camera is on Zoom. And then I started taking more acting classes here. I was also performing as a cheerleader beginning my freshman year of high school. I started on JV, got moved up to varsity, cheered 2 games during COVID because we were supposed to get 4, but then the football team got COVID.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I cheered for my first 2 years here at CSUSB. I've done a lot of performing on a lot of different fields and stages.
Did you always know you were going to go from Joshua Tree over here for college and acting and all that stuff? Or?
No, I was not even planning on going to college, believe it or not, and my mother was so worried about it too. Just last day of applications. Hey, college applications are due today. She's like, what? But yeah, so I was not planning on going to college at all, just because my experience in school with bullying and having to endure that every day for so long was just exhausting, and I was done with it. I didn't want to do any more schooling at all. And then on the last day, I decided to apply. And I got accepted into one other CSU. They took my application. However, at the time, I applied as a musical theater concentration, and I did not know that I had to audition to get in. Mm-hmm. So they're like, hey, we would accept you, but you didn't audition. It's like, okay, so Cal State San Bernardino. Especially, and what helped there is that Cal State San Bernardino was closer to home than a lot of other schools were. I've had a great experience here. I have really gotten to master my craft here. I've gotten to become a bit of a jack of all trades with all of the crazy things that I've ended up doing. And I am really glad that these past 4 years have taken me very far in my education and mastering my craft. Because I always knew from a very young age that I always wanted to be a performer. I didn't know how so, because in my head is always like, all right, you have to go through school, you have to go to college, and then you have to get a job. But there's so many different paths out there that you could take, and I was just like, well, I guess I'll go to college for theater. That'll put me on stage. That'll give me a reason to perform for people and get paid.
The thing I'm curious about is if you've done a pretty good chunk of your life doing music, whether that's with an instrument, well, your voice technically is an instrument, right? But with mostly focusing on music for the stage, what made you actually want to take an interest into acting?
Because I just remember growing up watching other child actors on TV for like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. It's like, why can't that be me? That is so fun. Like, why couldn't I have a twin and cause rampage in a hotel for years? Yeah, I just knew that I always wanted to be seen by people in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. And I thought that theater was the best outlet for that, just because theater has so many different genres to go into with musicals, comedies, dramas, and there's so much opportunity for it too, depending on where you live, because some places don't have a lot of opportunity, whereas you come to the IE, where we have Redlands Theater Festival, or you go to LA, which is generally more film and television, but there's still more opportunity to perform and act and sing and do anything else to do.
We have your music experience now. We have your theater experience, your cheer experience, right? So
yes.
Yeah, all levels of performance here, right?
Yes.
So carrying that forward when it comes to a career path, right? What type of field, or I should say, what type of concentration do you want to go for when it comes to getting a degree here afterwards, right? So do you want to go into the film industry? Do you want to go still with the theatrical industry, right? Go on stage performance, or do you rather maybe go into a route of, I don't know, stunt performance, right? Or some sort of dance choreo, like director, you know, stuff like that. So
I would rather love to be in film and television, just because thanks to organizations like SAG-AFTRA, we get residuals for that, and I would love to have a more consistent income with that. Yeah. In terms of being on film and television, I would love to act, I would love to sing, I would love to be a dancer, and even for like televised events, like I'm thinking like MTV VMAs, they have dancers for their performances, they have singers, they have background singers, touring artists need dancers and singers, and so I just want as many chances to go and perform and make money.
Can you think of examples here then at CSUSB, whether that is with the main stage productions of the CSUSB theater department or with the student-led other theater project, or even your performances with the music department or even with cheer? What was like some of the most memorable moments for you when it came to become a performer here at CSUSB?
I think some of the more memorable moments I have is not necessarily the performances themselves, but all of the rehearsals and all of the practices that I had. Because granted, maybe not so much with chamber singers because that's a class, but spending time after hours with a group of people together helps just build a connection and a bond. And so I remember when I was in cheer and we would hit a new stunt or somebody would get a new skill, it would be like a triumph. It would just be like, yes, you did that. So awesome that you finally got there. Like I remember having that feeling when I finally got my back handspring because that was something that I really wanted to work up to. And then I also remember using some of those skills when I was cast in Pippin and having people on my shoulders throughout the show and doing some of my own skills, just having so much fun doing those over and over and over again because that got my body moving and it was just so much fun, especially doing it with other people because that was a big motivation for me to do cheer in the first place. My sister got me into cheer when I was in high school. She was a senior, I was an incoming freshman. And I decided to join. It was what kept me active because, high schoolers, at least at my high school, you didn't have to do PE every year. You had to do PE only 2 years. And when I was in cheer, it kept me active. I don't like working out, especially alone and lifting weights. So working on my flexibility, working on cardio, strength training in a new way, and getting to display that was so much fun, and that's why I loved it so much.
I want to start kind of leewaying the performance aspect now back into fun little nerd talk.
Yeah.
So you're a DC fan.
Yes, I prefer DC Comics personally, although I do acknowledge the amazing work that Marvel Comics has done. But personally, I just have always loved DC Comics as a kid. I remember being in the back room at my grandma's house with my sister, and we would be watching one of two shows. It would be either Powerpuff Girls or the original Teen Titans series. And I just always remember feeling a strong connection to Robin in particular. I've always associated myself more with the younger characters and the sidekicks just because I feel like not only did I grow up with them a bit more in my life, but just because their stories often associate having to push back and past what has been set before them. Like Robin often has stories about wanting to be better than Batman and stepping up and being his own leader in a different way. And I feel like I connect to that a lot, just wanting to step out on my own a bit to prove my worth outside of whatever has come before me.
So with these characters that you fall in love with when it comes to DC Comics, especially like Robin, so do you think these are characters that honestly have kind of, I would say, not only influenced you, but I'm not sure what the right word is, but it's kind of just an inspirational character that kind of you look up to keep you moving forward with the career that you're going for, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because just constantly having to push yourself is what you have to do in this career. You are constantly auditioning. You are constantly showing that you are perfect for a part over somebody else. You are showing that, hey, if I'm not perfect for this show, you know my resume and you know that I would be great for another show that you might be directing in the future. So I do feel that way. And you do have to prove yourself a little bit, and you just need to get yourself out there and keep working as hard as you can. Mm-hmm. And that's the story of a lot of superheroes. Like Spider-Man is often shown as he is so tired and he constantly has to keep fighting, even when he's on 0 hours of sleep and it's the next day and he's hungry, but he's got to keep fighting to protect people. And same with the Robins, same with so many other superheroes. It's just you got to step up and you got to put other aspects first so that you can continue to thrive. They've also influenced the storytelling in a lot too, because right now I am working on my senior project, which is based off of Batman characters, specifically Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and the Joker, and I get to tell a story about that little triangle right there, and I'm really excited I get to do that.
Do you want to talk more about this upcoming project you're working on, what your goal is,
Sure. So this project of mine, I am calling Dear Joker. It is a bit of a pun on the Taylor Swift song Dear
Good.
John, because I am a Swiftie. And I include, or I plan to include a cover of both Dear John as well as the song We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. And because, of course, that'd be a song for Harley and Joker. It's a story that takes place after a very old episode of Batman the Animated Series called Mad Love, which was originally based on a comic written by Paul Dini, I believe, where at the end of the story, Harley Quinn is pushed out of a 3-story window by a giant swordfish.
Huh.
At the end of that story, Harley ends up back at Arkham Asylum and starts falling in love with the Joker again, but I am taking it in a different direction of how do you begin to heal from that when you realize all the pain and suffering that you've gone through? How do you begin to be happy with yourself without any sort of toxicity from anybody else? And I'm really excited I get to do that, especially because this is a lot of a new field for me. I am not used to writing. I am not used to working behind the scenes as much. Even though I was stage manager for A Midsummer Night's Dream, that was the first time I did any real technical work for any major production where it was like I had to be there every night. So I'm also not used to video editing. I'm not used to voice recordings yet. And I get to work on that now and push myself a lot further, because if I want to work in this industry, you can't really only rely on acting jobs sometimes. And it sucks, but it's the truth. So I get to push myself and be like, all right, what can I do technically? What can I do as an actor? What can I do as a director? How can I pivot when something doesn't go my way and I still want it to be good and still be a part of my art? How can I shift that? How can I pivot from that? And I'm pushing myself so much with this, but it's also a lot of skill that I get to take into the future, hopefully, because if I am doing audio and video work, then that means I get to work possibly on like Twitch streaming or YouTube videos, and people could hire me as an editor, or I could create my own content too. And that would be like really cool for me to do, because all of those things would be a part of something that I really love.
You also have the experience of working on the podcast.
Yes, I did.
We both came here at the same time.
Oh yes,
Right.
masked and everything.
Yeah, mask and everything. We took fundamentals of acting together, and that was the first ever theater class that I've taken here. After COVID too, right?
Yep.
And so
Took voice and movement. We performed in Murder on the Orient Express. Yeah, we have been able to work together, and you've had me as an actor for your work in the other theater project too, which I am always happy about. I've gotten to show my dance skill, not only in Pippin, as I mentioned earlier, but also in OTP as not our show this previous January, but the year before. I was in a piece called The Street Light, and I got to have a lot of fun dancing on stage again.
yeah, it's been immensely commendable, I would say, and just awesome because I pay attention to things, right? And you know, I can always recall to when we first met in that class, and how we were forced to be partners. For
Me with my blonde hair.
you with your blonde hair, and you know, you were just this shy, quiet, timid guy,
Cameron?
and I was like,
Yeah, believe it or not.
yeah, and so I think I broke you somehow by making some
No, I broke you, because we were working on a scene for Speech and Debate.
right.
And we were out working over in a field over by the amphitheater.
Right.
And I made a joke about touching grass.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's your story here, right? And your just overall your growth here, right? From overall living in Joshua Tree, coming out here for your arts and your career, right? Again, it's something that's extremely commendable, because as you talked about with your upbringing, how, yeah, you did struggle a lot through, your bullying in school, through a bunch of different things that have, kind of been a blockade to you, an inhibitor, but yet you still came here and endured and, put that leap of faith. So yeah, you had all those opportunities to go into performance. You had the opportunities to be part of stage management. Stage management, that is huge, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
And I was terrified to do it.
So, again, that's why I'm saying, like, it's completely commendable to see that growth, right? From the shy, timid guy that I knew, right, in the very beginning to our treasured treasure, right? So it's really awesome to see.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I had to sacrifice a good chunk to be here in terms of, like, I had to take out student loans. That ain't fun.
Yeah.
Living in the dorms, living away
Yeah.
from my family so I can be here for my education, and even things like having to stop cheerleading in order to participate in productions so I could move forward in my career. Those are like the tough choices that I had to make. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
So earlier you mentioned one of your performance opportunities was actually performing at Walt Disney Concert Hall.
Yes, it was.
So what was that like?
So we started getting this opportunity with the CSUSB Chamber Singers my junior year. So last year, I could not participate because, unfortunately, my car caught on fire.
Yeah.
I know, I've had some wild stuff happen here, folks. I lost my car. My house got flooded.
It wasn't the school's fault, though.
It was not the school's fault. Not the school's fault. I've had so much happen here. But anyways, so my junior year here, Dr. Layton, the chair of the music department and the person who teaches the Chamber Singers choir class, was given the opportunity to let us perform on the Walt Disney Concert Hall stage for Home Alone in concert. So what happens is Home Alone is put on a big projector screen. Everybody comes and sits in, and then there's an intermission. During the first half of the movie, it's only a band playing, and it's conducted by David Newman. And then after the intermission, the choir comes out and sings for sections of the back half of the movie. It was a really cool experience because I got to do that with the friends that I made in the music department, and that's also another like crazy thing I get to put on my resume, that I got to work with David Newman. I personally think that's like really cool. To walk out on the Walt Disney Concert Hall stage for the first time, it was very surreal because not only like Walt Disney Concert Hall, in terms of the building itself, it's kind of sort of big.
Really?
Because it's a concert hall. Yeah, it's kind of sort of big.
Interesting.
And so when I saw the building on the outside, I was like, okay, this is for real. Then going back to the practice room, it's like, okay, I have my music. I have my light on in order to see my music in the dark. I have everything I need to. And then Dr. Layton is helping us a little bit, and then David Newman comes in, and we're practicing, and it's just like, wow, this is what it is like to work a gig in the music industry. You just get the call, you learn your music, you go, you perform, you get paid.
So you got paid for that too?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You got me excited for a second.
I was like, wait, what?
I don't remember that part.
That's a huge opportunity for any college choir in general.
Yeah.
So I at least get to say that I have that because, I was at least compensated in the fact that, I get class credit.
That's important.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you can also be like, hey guys, stop. I went to Walt Disney Hall. All right.
There may or may not have been a humble brag or two to certain professors here.
I remember.
In regard to, honestly, you being able to perform in different spaces as well. I mean, you have also performed for KCACTF.
Yes, I have.
Yes.
So my sophomore year show that I had to quit cheer for, Anansi's Carnival Adventure, about the mythical spider named Anansi. That show got chosen to perform at the Kennedy Center Academic College Theater Festival for Region 8, which covers Southern California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Guam, Hawaii, and New Mexico. And it was chosen to perform in Glendale, California, which was a really cool experience because I got to not only see other shows from college theater, but I also got to present my own work on stage. And during that time, I also auditioned for the dance cabaret from the Musical Theater Initiative, and me and our alumni, Anna Gonzalez, got chosen to perform for that, and it was a really cool experience. It felt very validating that the work that I put into cheer wasn't just for fun, but it also helped further my career. When we performed it originally, I had just left cheer. I remember talking to my lovely director, Kathy Irvin. When I first auditioned, I was like, hey, if I am accepted for this, I am not available during these days because that's when I have practice until a specific date. Afterwards, I'm all yours. And so a year later, we get to put the show on again, and we're rehearsing again, and then I get to dance again for the first time in a very long time on stage. And it was like, wow, I still have it. I haven't been working out. I haven't been on a cheer team in a while, but I still retained all that skill, and I retained that work and muscle memory in my body. And it was very validating to be able to dance on stage again.
Bouncing back with the idea of what you want to do after college, right?
Yes.
Once you earn your degree. Say, imagine yourself, loaded question, like 30 years from now, right? Are you interested in the fact that maybe you could also introduce this world to so many other people, right? Would you want to be a leader and a teacher in that field? Or do you just want to say, nah, let me just, continue on and now,
I wouldn't necessarily want to be a teacher. However, I would like to help inspire people a bit further, just because I think that in the theater world, we have been more progressive in terms of casting people of color, casting queer people, casting people with different body types. And I want to expand that out further because, like, going back to the comic book conversation that we were having, something that I noticed is that oftentimes there are no plus-size superheroes. They are often depicted by having smaller frames. They're often depicted with six-pack abs. And if there is a plus-size superhero, it's often that their size is their power. In a way, like, I think to Bouncing Boy, that was his power. And it's like, why is that the only plus-size superhero that someone could have? Because yes, there have been plus-size actors in superhero films. I'm not going to deny that at all. Because I think of performances like Danny DeVito as the Penguin. I think of Kingpin in Daredevil and Daredevil Born Again. But we don't often see those body types depicted as the hero lead. And again, I was a cheerleader and I got my back handspring. So why wouldn't I be in a more flexible role like Nightwing or Robin? Why wouldn't, like, Superman in the summer, as he's absorbing more sunlight, get a bit of a dad bod? Like, why not? Because I know that in general, yes, we have shown that people with bigger bodies are generally stronger, and I often think of, like, American football. However, football, is funny enough, as a cheerleader, I don't care about American football a whole lot.
Whoa, you're pretty scandalous for that one.
I know. But yeah, I just wish that we were able to spread that out a bit more, especially because there's so much backlash on, like, swapping the race of any certain character, and people will be mad that, like, oh, there's a Black Panther, why can't there be a White Panther? Why is Ariel getting race swapped? And it's like, these stories maybe just aren't for you, but let's tell, like, I want to help show that no matter where you come from, no matter who you are, no matter what your body type, no matter your sexuality, your race, whatever, that you can still find representation for you.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree and in full 100% support with that because, yeah, it is theater, the art world, I should say, the industry when it comes to acting, when it comes to performance, and even when it comes to literature, there's a strange demographic that is marginalized, right? Like, art is very much known all about identity, all about embracing someone's identity and self-worth, and trying to embrace someone's just life, culture, everything, right? And yet, ironically, in some cases, those are in charge of casting, those are in charge of directing, whatever, still limit the opportunities for those people, right? And they marginalize that group, and yeah, it's kind of funny and silly to think of it like that, right?
It's really strange to think that the world of theater would be acting that way. It's very strange, and
right.
I want to help separate that and sort of end whatever stigma lingers there.
Right. Like, and that's why I chose CSUSB, right? Is because I did not see that happen here. I've kept watch of performances here on stage in the Barnes Theater since when did Frankenstein happen? It's quite a few years ago, right? And the directors, I've been in 4 productions now here, right? And I've seen so many different perspectives of work of all of my peers, my classmates, and there's just never been a case to where it's just like, oh, well, the original playwright wrote this character to be white. Sorry, can't get you, right? Or anything like that. I was able to play a lawyer in New York, right?
An Italian.
New York. Yeah, Italian New Yorker and that, right? It's so, that's the appreciation that I have with CSUSB in general, and Department of Theater Arts, of course, as well. But even just the entirety of this campus, right, is I think what we as peers here sitting down in this table have learned so much with our colleagues, even the ones that have graduated, right? We have made such a bond together because our stories, our upbringings, our perspectives and everything, that was something that we have embraced, celebrated, and then pursued that and brought that forth on stage, right? And that's not just with our colleagues, not just with our students, that's embraced from our faculty, our staff, and brought forward with the different plays that we have done and performed here. And that's where I find the beauty, right, in all of this, right? Having this podcast here, right, is such a great opportunity to do that and share these perspectives. You have any more loaded questions?
No, I don't think I do.
Do you want any more loaded answers?
So, today has been a great day sitting here with our treasured treasurer, Cameron Ruggiero.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you so much for coming. My name is Jason Davila, and I am the president of the Players of the Pear Garden.
I'm Julian, historian of the Players of the Pear Garden.
And I'm Cameron, treasurer of the Players of the Pear Garden.
We thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And we are the podcast of the Pear Garden.